wasn't just one of Pixar's most iconic characters, he also had one of the greatest evolutions in all of animation. He went from being an arrogant rookie, obsessed with winning the Piston Cup, to becoming a legend. Understood that speed wasn't everything, but along the way he lost everything. Gained worldwide fame, made mistakes, suffered one of the most brutal accidents in the entire saga, and ended up becoming something that the McQueen of 2006 never imagined. A mentor.
Why are you doing this? You said it. There won't be any more opportunities.
And this is my only chance to give you your first chance cruise. Today we're going to go through the entire evolution of Lightning McQueen to see how he went from racing solely for ego to becoming a legend who learned that sometimes the most important thing isn't winning the race. That's Lightning McQueen Cars, a road race adventure 2006. When we first met Lightning McQueen in 2006, he wasn't a legend. He was an incredibly fast, talented, and ambitious rookie, but he was also one of the most arrogant racers on the track. His only goal was to win the Piston Cup and become the next big star of motorsports. He didn't care about having friends, he didn't care about working in a team, and he didn't care about listening to advice. For him, the only thing that mattered was crossing the finish line first.
New tires? Hurry up now. No, don't go any further, just gas. You idiot!
From the beginning of Cars, Pixar introduced us to a character who was charismatic, funny, and very confident in himself, but also quite selfish in game. So much so that he didn't even value his own pit crew. He believed he didn't need anyone's help. That personality was the basis for his first major evolution. The story of the film revolves around a decisive race where McQueen tied with the King and Chick Hicks, causing a tiebreaker in California. What do you got on it?
Piston Cup officials have determined that the tiebreaker race between the three leaders will be in California in a week.
But during the trip, everything changes. He accidentally ends up lost in Radiator Springs, a small, forgotten town on Route 66, and that place, unbeknownst to him, was going to change his life forever. At first, McQueen hated it there. He saw it as a waste of time. He wanted to leave as soon as possible. But little by little, he began to meet characters like Mater, Sally, and especially Doc Hudson. You had an accident in 54.
When I recovered, I returned expecting a grand welcome. And what do you think they said? You are history.
And therein lies the true heart of his evolution. Doc Hudson was not just an old car from the town. He had been a racing legend, and it was he who began to teach McQueen something he had never understood. Racing was not just about speed and fame. Lightning began to change. He became more humble. He learned to listen. He learned to value friendship. He even started helping the town rebuild streets and living with other cars, something the early McQueen would never have done. And the defining moment of his entire evolution was the finale. During the deciding race, McQueen was on the verge of winning the Piston Cup, his lifelong dream. But when he saw that Chuck Hicks had caused the King to crash, he decided to stop and go back to push him to the finish line. That was the moment he stopped being just a fast racer and became someone better. What are you doing, kid?
The King has to finish his last race.
Visually, Pixar did something amazing. Cars was a technical revolution. The reflections in the paint, the metal, the desert landscapes, and the lighting were huge leaps forward in animation for its time. Plus, the film was very well received and became one of Pixar's most beloved franchises. Here, Lightning McQueen went from an arrogant rookie to a racer who understood that winning wasn't everything.
Agreed.
Maybe I should hook him up with Ben. Kill the Ghost Like 2006. Although it was short, Kill the Ghost Like showed something important, After Cars, McQueen was already fully integrated into Radiator Springs. This is no longer the racer desperate to get out of town. Now he feels comfortable, hanging out with Mater, participating in pranks, and being part of the community. I just hope he kills. He's not hiding out trying to scare me. I'm nervous today. The short revolves around a mysterious light that scares Mother at night. While everyone reacts to the chaos, McQueen appears more relaxed and friendly. It may seem like a small detail, but it reinforced that his evolution in Cars was not temporary. He had truly changed. He was no longer the selfish car that saw everyone as a hindrance. He had friends now, Cars 2, 2011. By the time Cars 2 arrived in 2011, Lightning McQueen was no longer the impulsive rookie we knew in Radiator Springs. Yes, he was now a bona fide racing superstar. He had already won several Piston Cups. He was one of the most respected racers in the world, and his name was no longer just famous in the United States. Now he was recognized practically everywhere. Hey, McQueen! Luis! Hello, my friend Rojas. Hello, Lightning. How do you like this little party? But although he was still fast, competitive, and confident, this stage showed something important. McQueen had matured, although he was still not completely free of his pride. The story begins when Lightning returns to Radiator Springs, enjoying a much quieter life. He no longer lives desperately to prove that he is the best. He has friends, a home, and a more stable identity. But everything changes when Francesco Berlucci appears, an extremely fast, charismatic, and cocky Italian racer who publicly challenges McQueen and questions whether he is really still the best in the world. Lightning McQueen wouldn't stand a chance against Francesco. I can reach 186 miles per hour. This challenge reawakens his competitive side. The World Grand Prix begins, an international competition created by Miles Accelerata to bring together the best racers on the planet and demonstrate the power of an alternative fuel to linol. Here, McQueen stops racing only on familiar tracks and enters a much larger stage. Races in Tokyo, Porto Corsa, and London. Each city not only raised the visual level of the film, it also made McQueen feel like a global figure. He was no longer the champion of a category. Now he was competing against the entire world. Seriously, are you fast? Well, Rancho, he's 3 times faster. Rancho, he's 3 times faster. But the strongest evolution came not from racing, but from his relationship with Mater. During the film, Mater is accidentally involved in an international espionage plot. While that's happening, McQueen is focused on maintaining his level as a champion and withstanding the pressure of competing against elite rivals. And that's where an old flaw, pride, appears. In a key scene, embarrassed by Mater's clumsy behavior around other cars, McQueen distances himself from him and says things that hurt him. I want help. I don't need your help, Mater. And I don't want your help.
Look, there it is.
This moment is incredibly important because it shows that even though he had changed since cars, he could still make mistakes when the pressure and ego kicked in again. But here's the difference with the 2006 McQueen. Now, he does acknowledge his mistake. When he understands how much he hurt Mater and how much that friendship actually means, he stops thinking just as a racer and acts like a more mature person. He repairs that relationship and shows that he no longer measures his worth solely on wins or reputation. It's official. I'll take you to all my races from now on. Gladly. Visually, the animation has been taken up a notch. Complex cities, more advanced lighting, more realistic reflections, intense chases, and a much more ambitious scale. Although the film divided opinions for its heavy focus on Mater and the spy story, it was also a commercial success and showed a much bigger McQueen than before. Here, Lightning McQueen stopped being just a talented racer and became a global star who began to understand that even as a champion, he could still continue learning in costumes, Tales from Radiator Springs 2013 to 2014. By this point, McQueen had already experienced fame, international races, and difficult moments. But Tales from Radiator Springs showed another stage, his daily life. The important thing here was not a great competition, it was seeing how he lived. He seems more relaxed, closer to Mater, more natural with Sally, more comfortable in the town. And then what happened? I saved your life. What? That's not true. Yes. No, Mater, that's enough. I didn't say no.
Hello, Doctor.
That's important because it shows that McQueen was no longer obsessed with racing. He was still a champion, of course, but he also had a life off the track, He was more patient, friendlier, and much less impulsive. This type of content helped to reinforce that his personality was now completely different from the first Cars. Cars 3, 2017. If Cars was the birth of Lightning McQueen, Cars 3 was the toughest and most emotional stage in his entire evolution. Here we no longer see the arrogant rookie of 2006 or the confident champion of Cars 2. Now McQueen is a legend of the racetrack with years of victories and recognition, but for the first time, he faces something he cannot easily defeat. Time. Racing changed. A new generation of faster, lighter, and technologically superior cars arrived. Among them, Jackson Storm stands out.
Hey, McQueen, all is well? Hey, don't worry, my friend. That was a great race. Go to your retirement.
Jackson takes the lead again. Storm was not just a rival, he represented the future. He was fast, cold, and calculating. While McQueen still relied on experience and instinct, Storm represented an era where technology seemed to rule the track. For the first time, Lightning began to feel old during a race, trying to prove that he could still compete at the highest level. Nah, he pushed his limits too far until he suffered one of the most shocking accidents in the entire series. Crash changed everything. It not only damaged his bodywork, it also destroyed part of his confidence. For the first time, Lightning felt fear that he would never be able to race the same way again. Fear of failing. Fear of being left behind while the world continued to move forward without him. This conflict makes Cars 3 much more mature. The film is about aging, change, and accepting that no stage lasts forever. McQueen tries to make a comeback, undergoing modern training simulators and new techniques to adapt to this new era. He wants to prove that he can still compete, but his hardest struggle wasn't physical, it was emotional. Accepting that he might not be able to continue being the same racer, and then Cruz Ramirez entered. At first, McQueen saw her only as an energetic coach, but with no real racing experience. But little by little, he discovered that Cruz had talents, be it a dream that had never been fulfilled. She had always wanted to race.
What my family always said, dream small or don't dream at all. But she was the best racer there, and I would make them see that she could.
That changes her perspective. Lightning begins to see her as someone with real potential, and this is where his greatest evolution occurs. McQueen begins to become what Doc Hudson was to him, a mentor. A mentor. Doc taught him discipline, control, and purpose beyond winning. Now Lightning passes on those same lessons. It shows how much he's changed. The McQueen of 2006 would never have shared the spotlight with anyone, but in the final race, he makes a huge decision to give Cruz Ramirez a chance. He trusts her, encourages her to compete, and gives her the space he never would have given her before.
Mr. McQueen,
Today's the day, Cruz. You will have your chance. What? I started the race, and you will finish it.
That moment defines his entire evolution, because he understands that a legend is not only measured by his victories, but by the legacy he leaves behind. He was no longer just a champion, he was now an inspiration. Visually, Cars 3 was also much improved with more realistic animation, better shadows, reflections, and more detailed environments, i.e. It was also better received than Cars 1 because it recaptured the emotional tone of the first film. Here, McQueen stopped fighting to remain number one and understood that sometimes evolving means knowing when to pass the torch. Cars Road Trip 2022. By 2022, in Cars Road Trip, Lightning McQueen is now a mature and established racer, Mata Vivoma. No longer the arrogant rookie of the first film, nor the pressure champion of Cars 2, nor the veteran in crisis of Cars 3. Here we see him in a calmer and more stable state. The series follows Lightning McQueen and Mater on a road trip across the United States to attend older sister's wedding.
Just thinking about seeing my sister makes me anxious, and when I'm anxious, I feel like I'm going to explode.
Come on, relax.
Throughout the 9 short episodes, they experience all sorts of absurd and humorous adventures. Mechanical dinosaurs, a haunted hotel, monster cars, strange circuses, and very crazy situations met. Although the series has a much lighter and more comedic tone than the films, you can see how McQueen has evolved. He no longer feels the constant need to prove that he is the fastest. He shows much more patience and maturity in the face of the problems that arise during the trip. His relationship with Mater is solid and understanding. There is almost no frustration or embarrassment like in Cars 2. Now he accepts it and accompanies it with greater tolerance. McQueen feels more relaxed, like someone who has already experienced glory. He has faced his greatest fears and can now enjoy the simple things.
Mr. McQueen,
Cruz, you don't have to call me Mr. McQueen. We are racers now.
okay, Lightning.
His worth is no longer defined solely by victories on the racetrack. It is clear that he has accepted a new stage where friendship and shared experiences are more important. But the series is not a great emotional drama or a profound conclusion to his arc. It's more of a fun and lighthearted adventure series designed to entertain. Cars Road Trip shows us a Lightning McQueen who no longer needs to be the center of the world or win at all costs.